So then the next one is, the next slide illustrates how in the electricity sector, though, we know what to do. The top line is a business as usual course. The bottom line is if we implement a package of energy efficiency, renewable energy, and retirement of coal plants. And this is actually done using a tool developed by ISO New England that runs the regional electricity system, and it was we developed this with some very good consultants from a shop called Synapse Energy Economics. And we know how to, one of the things about the electricity sector is, well, it's really hard. It's actually the easy part compared to something like transportation. So, now let's transition into what's actually on the table in Washington, D.C., the hotly debated Waxman-Markey bill. The next slide illustrates an estimate done by the World Resources Institute based upon an earlier draft of the bill of what the bill may achieve. The red line going up is business as usual. The green line going down illustrates the cap level from the bill, and that shaded blue part underneath it shows what may happen with all of the additional parts of the bill in addition to the cap. And it really does mark out that it starts to put us on the right trajectory if we do it right. Well, what does doing it right mean? And the next slide, we start to get into the specifics. There are some really horrendously thorny issues tangled up here. Number one, performance standards for new coal plants. That it's a mandate for new coal plants to radically reduce their emissions. Will the bill, these are sort of a series of questions. Will the bill emerge from Congress with strong performance standards, or will it be a loophole-ridden paper tiger that just, that allows people to rush plants forward because it has a deadline that's basically if it's permitted by 2011, then there's a safe harbor. Offsets, key flexibility mechanism, or subprime mortgages of the carbon market. I just no other way of putting it. It really has the potential to be either, depending on how we do it. Free allowances, will we give out billions of dollars of value to coal plants and other polluters, or will we auction those allowances off, as the president promised he would do during the campaign? And they seem to be backing away from, and reinvest that money in energy efficiency and green jobs and doing it right. Will we mush together an energy efficiency resource standard and a renewable energy standard as the new draft does? Or will we keep those as separate and important mechanisms that achieves those two goals? And then transportation, this bill frankly doesn't do very much about transportation at all. You could, the optimist would say because we're going to do it in other ways. Just to wrap up, the next slide gets into some more details that matter. The bill does take away the EPA authority, and I was actually one of the lawyers that worked on Massachusetts versus EPA. I was kind of on the JV. My name's on the brief. And the bill would take away the EPA authority to regulate greenhouse gases that we won at the Supreme Court. The question is it good enough to give that up? And that's going to be a big question. And then the final big question is this bill trying to do too much, or is it trying to do too little? The basic framework of this bill is critical and important in terms of setting a cap on emissions. And the details truly matter. And what we need to do is send a strong, strong message to those who are making the decisions in Washington that A, we need a bill that really takes on this critical climate challenge, and B, we need to do it right. So the final thought is, failure to get it right, it's just not an option. And remember, the planet you save may be your own. And finally, here's the obligatory contact information, and I'll be here for questions. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Robin Finnegan. I'm going to go briefly over the potential action steps for you to take in your communities. You should have a handout that says proposed action steps, clean energy and green jobs on one side, and a summary of the bill on the other side. And I'm not going to waste a lot of time. I'm just going to briefly read the 4 suggested steps that you can do whatever you want, After you've hosted or participated in a local or regional organizing meeting, organize an energy issue meeting in your region or city to bring interested activists together to develop and implement the energy action steps. That's number one. Number two is to develop a grassroots advocacy campaign. There's a lot of detail on the handout. I'm not going to go into it. We don't have a lot of time. Three is to implement the grassroots advocacy strategy and meet with your congressperson. And step four is in collaboration with other organizations and in conjunction with volunteers statewide, mobilize to contact citizens of neighboring states about energy reform and ask them to contact their state delegation in support of it. We do have suggested timelines under each of these. It's on the sheet. And I want to let you know a little bit what the current status is of the Markey-Waxman bill, although that can change. It has been in committee. It is expected to go out into the markup period this coming week. When Congressman Markey was at MIT, I think in early April, maybe late March, I'm not sure. He said that the plan is that they're hoping it will be out of committee by Memorial Day, which is not long from now, and that the bill will be passed by both the Senate and House this fall. And you can see that the time frame that we put in for the action plan reflects that. And of course, that can change.